Hello and welcome to CloudFolks Hub. My name is Bhavesh Etara and we are discussing about Lambda. In Lambda, we have one feature that used to connect our Lambda function with VPC, means Virtual Private Cloud. Now, what is the use case of this connectivity? How we can utilize this and how this particular process is working? We are going to talk about all of this VPC connectivity in this video, so let's start. Here I am going to start with introduction. First of all, by default, Lambda function runs outside of your VPC. We have done lots of practicals about Lambda, but we never ever discuss about VPC. Why? Because VPC is not required by default for the Lambda function to run. By default, our Lambda function is using AWS Managed Network and it is having full internet connectivity as well. If you want to access some AWS services like S3 or DynamoDB, you can easily access this from your Lambda function because these services are actually accessible over the internet. And Lambda function always having internet connectivity, so we can access them without any extra configuration. But if you want to access your RDS instance, and if your RDS instance is in private subnet, means RDS instance don't have inbound connectivity, then you will be in problem. You have one EC2 instance running in private subnet and you want to access this EC2 instance from your Lambda function or vice versa, like from EC2 you want to access your Lambda function. It is not possible. Why? Because EC2 don't have internet connectivity. This is also applicable for Elastic Cache because whenever we are going to set up this Elastic Cache cluster, we are always in normal circumstances creating this into the private subnet. Means these resources are closely attached with VPC, and if they are in the VPC private subnet, they don't have inbound internet connectivity. And now you will be in problem because in this case, you cannot access these resources from your Lambda function. Same way, all these resources cannot able to access Lambda functions as well because they don't have internet. What is the solution for this? The solution is you can set up VPC connectivity for your Lambda function. Now, how we can do this? See here, I have one Lambda function. Now, when you go to the Lambda function, we have this configuration tab, and here you will get this VPC option. By default, no VPC is configured, means my Lambda function is running into the AWS managed infrastructure. It can access any services running accessible over the internet, but it cannot access any services running inside the private subnet. If you want to do this, you have to click on edit here. You have to select your VPC. You have to select your private subnet in which your resources is running, and then you can able to access this. Now, I'm going to explain you what is the full process, means what happens when you connect Lambda to the VPC. Once a Lambda is in VPC, AWS creates ENI. ENI means Elastic Network Interface for your Lambda function. The ENI attached to the subnet you selected. In normal circumstances, it is always private subnet. And the ENI gets private IP address as well. Right? So, this is like a simple process. If I am going to click over here, and if I am going to save this, it is going to create one ENI and it is going to attach this ENI with our Lambda function. So then Lambda function will be accessible from your EC2 instance or maybe RDS in a private subnet. It gets network access to your private resources. But keep this in mind that when you are going to connect your Lambda function with VPC, as soon as it is going to disconnect from AWS managed network, means if the private subnet having internet connectivity, means outbound internet connectivity, your Lambda will get outbound internet connectivity. Now, private subnet don't have inbound internet connectivity, right? But yes, if your private subnet don't have outbound internet connectivity, you will be in problem because now your Lambda don't have inbound or outbound internet connectivity. So, but it loses the internet access because in private subnet we don't have. Now, in some case, you require this, right? Let's say that my Lambda is actually going to access some external service over the internet. And I want to provide outbound internet for my Lambda function. How I can do this? In this case, you have to add net gateway. In general circumstances, we are always blocking inbound access, but we are giving outbound access for our private subnet. So we have like net gateway, but keep this in mind. If you don't have net gateway for your private subnet, you're not going to get outbound internet for your EC2 instances as well as for your Lambda function. In some case, you don't want to access services, means external services over the internet, but you want to access some AWS services. For example, from my Lambda function, I want to access only S3 and DynamoDB. My Lambda function is already attached with VPC. Now, using net gateway is a one solution, but net gateway will provide all internet access. I just want to access AWS services like S3 or DynamoDB. So in this case, you have one better security option as well. You can create VPC endpoint. So if you don't want to provide full internet access, create VPC endpoint for specific service and you will get access. Now, here I want to tell you guys what is this VPC endpoint, what is net gateway, what is a private subnet. I already explained everything into the VPC series. So if you don't know anything about, you would face some difficulties to understand this. Better idea is to go and watch VPC series and then come back. You will get crystal clear understanding. Now, here I am going to talk about last point, which is security group for Lambda. Keep this in mind that whenever we are going to attach our Lambda function with VPC, it is going to create one ENI. ENI means Elastic Network Interface. Now, whenever we are creating ENI, we are actually creating security group to protect inbound and outbound traffic. So, here if I am going to create...
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you guys are enjoying our video a lot, because our final ultimate goal is Solution Architect Certification exam. To reach the destination, we required full videos. To create our success story, here we have a 3 path. You can choose any of them. Path number 1, our 6-in-1 program. Our 6-in-1 program include all prerequisite skills which is needed as a cloud engineer. It include 24/7 support, lifetime update, section-wise practice test, full course practice test with tips and tricks by Bhavesh Atara, how to do exam preparation course, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Atara, and 6 AWS project with documents. Path number 2, you can enroll by paying $499 and get Hindi and English, both the languages, videos of AWS. Path number 3, which is the last one, you can join our YouTube Elite membership. The choice is yours how to create your success story by choosing best one. Best of luck. Thank you.